This presentation, titled Auditing 4.0, the impact of data science and machine learning on the future of auditing, comes to us from Cyrus Hoseini, PhD. Cyrus is a Senior Director of RCM Analytics with Exemplar and a former Vice President of Quality and Analytics Services with Qualmind. He is an executive and a senior advisor with extensive experience providing IT, quality, and data analytics services to large-scale projects, especially in health and human services. Cyrus holds a PhD in quality systems from Indiana State University, an MBA, and a bachelor's degree in applied mathematics. He is an ISO 9001 lead auditor and a certified quality auditor with more than 20 years of experience applying auditing techniques in various projects. He is a voting member of the US TAG to ISO TC 176 and holds several certificates, including CSSBB, CQA, CMQBE, CSQE, PMP, CPHQ, CSM, and CRCR. And with that, take it away, Cyrus.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. So we are going to talk about Auditing 4.0 and the impact of data science and machine learning on the future of auditing. So the agenda is simple. I will provide some background information because no background is assumed. Then we are going to talk about why auditors should even care about the changes in the disruptive technologies, and eventually talk about how that will impact an auditor, specifically quality management system auditor, and how to apply some of those advancements in performing audits. So let's talk about some definitions. These definitions, they are not exact science. They may have overlaps, but we provide these definitions to lay a foundation to make sure that we speak the same language. Industry 4.0 is a term, is a buzzword that relates us to the fourth generation of industrial revolution, related to what is the impact of disruptive technologies on industry and digital transformation that changes the workplace, workforce, and the market. When we talk about disruptive technologies, we talk about the type of technologies that changes the landscape of competition and the market, like Internet of Things, drones, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, and so on and so forth. Within the context of Industry 4.0, we have Quality 4.0. And that relates to what quality means in Industry 4.0, and then the same concept of applying disruptive technologies to improve the quality approaches in general. I don't review the definition of the audit. This is something that we took from ISO 9000 2015 version. Specifically, that relates to QMS audits. I just pointed out a few keywords: systematic, independent, and documented. Everybody can relate to this. And I know that you guys already know and have done a lot of audits, so you are very familiar with the concept of and implication of those keywords. So we introduce a concept we call Audit 4.0, and this definition uses some of those keywords with some slight changes. We define Audit 4.0 as a systematic, intelligent, scalable, and verifiable process for obtaining objective evidences and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled, and recommend improvements to leveraging disruptive technology. So the keywords are slightly different. We have the same systematic concept, but we add intelligence, scalable, and instead of documented, we have verifiable. And we are going to talk about how disruptive technologies will impact the auditing. Let's talk about the specific tools among the disruptive technologies that are really related to Auditing 4.0. So from the top to bottom, we are going from the older technologies to newer technologies, from things that they are probably, few decades old I highlighted them in the red font, like database management or business intelligence, to the newer concepts. Again, the same idea that these definitions are not exact science. They may have overlaps, but provide some baseline for us. Business intelligence in this context is referring to how we can leverage computer to present information in consumable fashion, mainly dashboards and reports. Analytics, data, big data science, big data analytics, and machine learning are actually next generations. And they are actually leveraging machines in a non-trivial ways and allows us to process massive data sets. And specifically, something that I want to point out is that in the definition of machine learning, we talk about allowing machines to learn patterns without being explicitly programmed. And that's very important. That's the whole concept of learning, how we can allow a machine to learn the way that the human brain learns, right? So we are not specifically told what are the criteria always. We just are shown some examples, and based on that, a brain can extract patterns, hidden patterns, and make some abstractions. Same concept applies to machine learning. If we can let the machine to learn from the data without explicitly being programmed, then we are going from the business intelligence level to the machine learning and data science level. And eventually artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is leveraging advanced computer science techniques, including computer vision, neural network, deep learning, and all the new buzzwords to create autonomous assistance, complex robotics, or making complex and human-level decisions by computers. So artificial intelligence is a buzzword, and you do see some applications in different industries, but still we are in the earliest stages when it comes to real application of AI, especially in the auditing realm. Let's talk about the disruptive technologies and the future impact of these disruptive technologies on auditing. I listed a few very popular disruptive technologies, and this evaluation, the list that I provided is based on two major studies that have done between 2018 and 2022. And they asked many executives and people in the industries to provide their input on the disruptive technologies and how they will impact their businesses. So I reviewed them and tried to make sense of the impact of those disruptive technologies on future of the auditing. So let's start from the bottom of the list, the technologies that may or may not have impact on auditing. Drones, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing. Some of them, I have seen science fiction scenarios that, drones are anonymously, they go there and, audit a supply chain, but they are really far-fetched scenarios. We have technologies that may have indirect impact, but in future, we'll see them probably more and more applied in the realm of auditing. Blockchain is probably the top example. The blockchain has two main technologies. The one underlying technology in blockchain, which is the open ledger, allows us to build a fabulous infrastructure for accuracy and traceability. And we expect that concept to be applied in auditing in future. Probably easier to apply it in a financial auditing, but eventually will be applied in quality management system auditing by allowing us to kind of tag every single transaction in the fashion that you cannot change the past. So record retention have a high accuracy level. Internet of Things also allows us to have the scalability and speed, having sensors in machines, allowing us to do the inspection in the real time, allowing us to scale up the quality assurance. Inspections will, of course, improve our auditing accuracy. And mobile technologies allows us to have a better traceability using many different technologies to be able to apply the mobile technology with especially smaller scale technologies throughout the supply chain. But the type of technology that have direct impact on auditing, they are technologies dealing with data. Process automation is not necessarily a new technology. That is probably 2010 technology, but allows us to do scalability and accuracy. We can apply some of the process automations in managing and running audit programs because there are many steps that requires us to do planning, execution, follow-up on the findings, validation, and many paperwork and follow-ups could be automated. So we expect this technology to have profound impact on auditing in near future, very near future. I have seen examples of companies that start using process automation to streamline the entire auditing process, especially when they do the auditing on a larger scale. Data analytics and machine learning, the other kind of things that we are going to talk about more. We expect these kind of technologies to allow us to, again, improve the scalability, be able to do the audit in much larger scale, increase the sample size, which allows us to have a better, accurate evaluation of our overall compliance. And eventually we expect artificial intelligence to introduce the next gen audits, and the next gen audits is something in a scale of having the bots applied in different areas, controlling transactions on the data and generating verifiable records that we will use in auditing automatically, and go even one step further and use the natural language processing to make sense of those automatically generated data. Still, they are, I've seen again, examples of artificial intelligence discussion in the realm of audits. I haven't seen a true implementation, but we expect to see that in next few years. This pyramid actually tries to help us to abstract how the auditing tools, especially those that we mentioned, have a direct impact on audits in future, to correlate them with the way that we actually execute audit. When we do the audit, like any other data processing or an insight extraction process, we deal with different level of data. We have data and information, we have insights, and we have intelligence. Data and information, they are simple things: trends, benchmarks, target achievements, patterns, specifically explicit patterns that we know and we are looking for, not something that we came across as anomaly, which requires actually a better or higher level of processing. And prescription based on the past data and clearly defined goals. As an example, if we find out we are not achieving a level of quality in a specific process and we have already a quality target, we can actually calculate or evaluate the gap. So this is a data and information that auditors are dealing with on a daily basis. Nothing new. Technologies here they are very mature, and we have always been dealing with this kind of this level of data and information. The next level, this is a kind of data that actually requires people to make a judgment. Finding patterns, specifically implicit patterns, patterns that we haven't looked for specifically. We didn't actually design a query like on a data to find those specific patterns, something that an auditor can see with the trained eye and can make a sense of it, that this is a good pattern or a bad pattern or something requires further investigation. Anomaly, something that doesn't look like a baseline, an outlier that requires a further investigation. Predictions of what's going to happen in future. Prescription, based on not necessarily past data based on something that we haven't done, we haven't seen in past. And clarifying how things are happening. And the insight is something that usually in the auditing realm requires an auditor or lead auditor to extract. And we expect machine learning and analytics to come to this area and allow us to do a lot of these steps with technology, scale it up with technology, use natural language processing to find the patterns, analytics to find the patterns, anomalies. And we expect in the very near future, actually is happening right now, that the insight extraction becomes more powered by data analytics, by machine learning, and eventually by artificial intelligence. But intelligence is the highest level, overall judgment, like how you can make a judgment eventually that a QMS is a compliance with the standard. Innovative ideas. When you want to do the compromise, right? You have to weigh different options and find out actually you have to choose one option that is the optimal option. All those data conclusions and intelligence level processing requires a higher level of interaction with data that sometimes changes the question. In the realm of auditing, if you want to show what kind of tools actually supporting us, as we mentioned, BI technologies, they are in data and information level, machine learning, data science, and big data analytics, they are in insight level, and artificial intelligence is the highest level, which is the intelligence level, and can support us. And let's provide one more example. If you really want to see how, in what scale those technology could impact our auditing process, I can use the analogy of criteria, process, and system level audits. Data and information, and BI technologies allow us to actually automate part of the criteria auditing, but is not complicated enough, complex and comprehensive enough to allow us to make a judgment about the process overall compliance against some criteria, which we expect intelligence used by machine learning and analytics to reach to that level very soon, which means a machine that is equipped with machine learning techniques or tools should be able to almost automatically evaluate the process compliance and make a judgment if the process is working or not, especially when we have enough data generated by IoT, by sensors, and they are processed in a way that machine can find the insights in it. But still we are far-fetched, and we have distance between us and the level of intelligence requires for someone to make a judgment on a system level if we have the compliance against specific standards. So we expect still auditors, they are going to be staying relevant for a long time, especially when it comes to highest level of judgment about the overall compliance of the system. Okay, so that's basic information. Why should I care as auditor? 3 specific and simple reasons. 1, technology is changing in a rapid way, especially when it comes to data technology. I just compare what do we have in the quality and auditing versus what do we have as a major technology changes in past couple of decades in the realm of data. As you see, probably since in past couple of decades, we haven't seen like a major innovations in the realm of audits and quality. We just have new standards and new practices. But when you look at the data science and analytics and machine learning, there are a lot of new concepts and new innovations that they came to practice and realization in the past couple of decades. So it is not that we don't want to innovate in the realm of auditing. But it doesn't look like we have a lot of breakthrough ideas. So technology will eventually catch up with us. And eventually we are going to have things that even if we don't want to change and we want to stick to our patterns, technology will come and provide a better competitive edge when it comes to processing data. So even if as an auditor, if I don't want to change, technology will force me to change eventually and look at the, what's in the landscape and what is available to me. So I have to learn what I need to learn. The second thing is organizational change. The amount of data accumulating in organizations is skyrocketing and is growing exponentially. I just wanted to give you guys a couple of examples. Every 35 seconds, 1 terabyte data is added to just Facebook, right? Maybe Facebook is not probably the example that every company follows, but just to put things in perspective, a terabyte data is, probably equal to all the photos uploaded by every person in Facebook. And if, you can put 1 terabyte data in one of those hard drives that you can put it in the palm of your hand. But if you use the same kind of hard drive and you want to keep all the data that we have, all the photos that we have in Facebook, and you put them on the top of each other, it will be as tall as 1,200 Statue of Liberty. So this is like a massive data set. But it's not just Facebook. Every organizations on average, they increase their data by 2-fold every 3 years. And when we add the impact of IoT, that may increase even more rapidly. And it's not about the volume, velocity, variety, and veracity of data, which is quality of data. Also, they pushes us to pushes organization to change, to adapt to the new paradigm using unstructured data as well as the structured data. And that's something that is happening. So almost every organization right now, at least when it goes over a certain scale, require a level of engagement with machine learning, which has impact on our auditing process too. And also capabilities. The capabilities concept is that auditors, they usually use small data, like any other people that work in the realm of quality. We use samples, and auditors and quality practitioners, they are master of small data, make extraction and inferring patterns from small data. We never actually had the luxury of measuring the population, population criteria or population measurements at large scale with the big data analytics and machine learning that's available to us. So the capabilities that we had before still is relevant, but could be augmented by machine learning. But also we have tools right now to measure, instead of just a sample criteria, the entire population parameter. And that's something that we didn't have. So we couldn't really measure like average for entire data set before, because the processing power wasn't there, and the algorithms that we had, they were not capable enough. So because of these changes in the landscape and changes in the capability required for the auditors, we should care, because again, those changes will impact us very soon. And let's talk quickly about how we can actually leverage some of these techniques in managing our audits. Very simple. I try to be as simple as possible. I focus on machine learning, which is probably the right balance between the very high level of AI and low level of business intelligence. The algorithms that they are used in the machine learning, you can put them in 2 different categories. Either you use the past experience or something that we call labeled data, and we call supervised learning. And that's exactly the way that the brain learns stuff in childhood. So instead of somebody defining an object for you, they just show you some examples. and some labels, and based on that, brain gets a pattern. That's how you can actually teach a machine. And that's a supervised learning. And either is a classification or regression, and quality practitioners and others are very familiar with both concepts. If you are not using past experience and you just look at the data at the first time, trying to find patterns and anomalies, that's something that we call unsupervised learning. Majority of applications that I've seen about the machine learning in auditing deals with the supervised learning, something that we had in the past. We have some label there and we can leverage it to augment our audits and how the process could work. This is one simple example. Imagine that we want to audit one criteria, 8.6, ISO 9001, 2015. And that's about the record of conformity of product services with acceptance criteria, probably one of the richest data intensive criteria in ISO 9001. And so the process looks like this. So we have 4 stages: manage data, build the model, train and test, and evaluate. So we gather the data from the past to create label data. We deal with the missing data, and then again, using past QC, QA inspection reports, we put all the data that we have as a sample into categories, good and bad, right? Go, no go. And then we use algorithms, like in this case, classification algorithms, like decision tree, SVM, logistic regression, etc., to allow us to use the pattern and apply it to unseen data, or we call test data. And we also select performance measure, because we can look at the algorithm's performance from different aspects. Probably the most, and there are probably over 20 or 50 different performance measures. The one that is more applied in auditing is recall, which is basically the accuracy of finding the true positives, right? How many of true positives actually I can find. And so you can have the accuracy also, but accuracy is less relevant to the realm of audit, because the majority of the data sets that we have and evaluate are compliance data. So non-compliance, they are rare events, and that inflates our accuracy numbers when you deal with the unbalanced data. So recall is probably the best performance measure. And then we do the test and train. I don't want to go to the details because it's not a topic about the machine learning, but you can learn it in many, many different courses, and eventually find a model that works and select the right algorithms among those that you tested and fine tune the model with the better data. So this is how you can actually leverage a machine learning model to build a process to scale up your auditing for a specific criteria. Some considerations, these considerations are important for us when we build the model. Make sure that first and most important question are answered. Is a learning a possibility? I'm talking about machine learning. If the pattern is changing so very drastically, you cannot use the past data to predict the future. Also, you have to, you have to make sure that you can, your model is convergence, produce an optimal number eventually. And that actually requires some knowledge of how to apply the machine learning. As I mentioned, supervised learning, they are the most commonly used techniques in the realm of audit. If it's possible, you can use the big data analytics to measure the population parameter directly. You can use semi-supervised learning for risk management and also for predicting the quality and finding anomalies. There is no magic bullet when it comes to using the algorithms, but SVM, neural networks, they are popular, as well as the logistic regression. I find out also gradient boosting is one of the technologies or algorithms that is used a lot recently. As I mentioned, the labeling is very important in supervised learning, and that's the most expensive process. So always we have to have a good data to start with, garbage in, garbage out. The techniques are used to allow us to do something that we call it dimensionality reduction, or making the model more simple, like any other modeling technique that has its own drawbacks. We have to consider the impact of those kind of techniques. And when we choose the right model, we need to look at things like computation time and resource requires. Some of the techniques like SVM requires a lot of resources, so may not be feasible for some cases. And some trade-offs also they are important. The trade-off between interpretability and prediction accuracy is one that I want to specifically focus on. And that's we have black box and white box algorithms. The white box algorithms are simpler, like a decision tree. You can explain it to the people, to the management, how you made it, how computer learned a pattern, and what are the predictors. The black box algorithms like neural network, SVM, they are very strong, but sometimes it's very hard to explain them to the client, to the management. So you have to choose the right balance between the complexity and the prediction power or accuracy. And we talked about the rare data event already. Okay, where to use machine learning in the realm of audits. We talked about some of these topics already. When we want to deal with the high volume and velocity, and that means, when we deal with the situation that data is generated in a very rapid way. We see that one right now in many industries. In pharmaceuticals, we see it of course, in banking, we see it in health insurance, and of course in manufacturing. A lot of cases requires making judgment in a very short period of time. But then we want to improve the visualization. That's probably given. Everybody knows how to, leverage at least they know the impact of this technology on data visualization with the new techniques and the new tools like Tableau, like Power BIs. Dealing with the unstructured data, things like a voice, like a picture, like a video, is also something that pushes us to use machine learning, because the old techniques, they were not really appropriate to be applied to the realm of unstructured data. We can use these techniques to get some ideas and build hypotheses. We can replace the sampling, as I mentioned, measuring things on a larger scale. And of course, we can leverage it to detect anomalies and improve our sampling process. Let's talk about a couple of quick conversations about how an auditor should pay attention to their skill set. Their skill set requires for an auditor to be able to use techniques like big data analytics and machine learning to improve their processes. Big data analytics, data science, artificial intelligence, all those concepts, they are interdisciplinary. They are happening between the computer science techniques, subject matter expertise, and the statistics and math. In my experience, auditors, they are really good in subject matter expertise, and lots of them, they are familiar with many statistical techniques that applies in the realm of machine learning. Usually they lack computer science and hacking skills. Hacking here, I'm not necessarily pointing to computer hacking in how you can actually learn a new technology in a very short time. People that work in technology, they usually develop mastery in one technology and then expand it to the new technologies. And that's something either they have to start learning, get their hand dirty, learn a few technologies and expand it to other areas. And when we talk about the technologies, actually we have a jungle of technologies and expanding rapidly. This is just a chart, a candy color chart of technologies related to the realm of data analytics just for 7 years. Since 2017, the number grew from 5,000 to probably 15 to 20,000. And that shows us how many available softwares and applications there are out there that you can learn, and every day you hear something new. You really don't need to be concerned about this volume. If you learn a few very relevant ones and get a level of mastery at it, then you can use your knowledge to hack through the other technologies. And that was the hacking concept that I talked about. And eventually, let's wrap it up and provide some suggestions to auditors. I use the analogy of being a kid in a candy store. You get all those technologies. Some people like myself, especially you have a geek side, you get excited, you try to, jump in all the technology and use them. You have to watch your sugar intake. It's good to get familiar and get your hands dirty, but probably learning a few major softwares or applications would suffice in the majority of cases. If somebody learns at least in basic level of like Python and gets familiar with a couple of advanced analytics tools like Power BI, Tableau, I just provide a few examples, or RapidMiner, probably can hack their way through the technologies, and they don't need to really overwhelm themselves with everything new. It's very important to validate your assumptions. Garbage in, garbage out. This is something not necessarily related only or limited only to the realm of machine learning and analytics, but because in machine learning and analytics you scale it up, the impact will be increased by several folds. Make sure that you validated the assumption. If the assumption is that data is normally distributed, you have to validate it before you use the proper model. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can do your literature review before you actually try to start from scratch. Many problems that you are dealing with, they are actually being solved. The solutions are provided. You can do some research and find them and try to apply the same methods and modify it for your organization. Something that I have to give everybody a heads up is that because technology becomes very easily available for people, we are going to see a new wave of newbie experts, or people that they just know how to leverage the technology. They may not have the same subject matter expertise as an auditor. So you have to be prepared to have the engagement with them and have a proper conversation and help to put things in perspective, because sometimes people that they don't know the background or don't validate their assumptions, they may use a BI tool and come up with an idea or a pattern or association in data that is irrelevant in that particular case, and you have to be prepared to have a discussion with them. Security, privacy, transparency are important, become more and more important with the impact of new technologies on the auditing. And finally, we have to learn from our mistakes and never fall in love with our models. I think that was a box that had the famous quote that all models, they are wrong, some they are useful. So whatever we do in this realm, using machine learning or advanced analytics is nothing but a modeling, right? We create a model of the real world. So there are limitations to those models. When it comes to auditing, the complexity is even higher. So we have to be cautious, leverage those tools just to augment our process, not to make a final call based on what tool is providing us. And eventually, we have to be prepared that this part of our job will be eventually replaced by Mr. Robot, which means, AI technologies eventually will eliminate part of the more rudimentary works for auditors. We have to be prepared for it. And the best way to prepare for a technology is to get acclimated with it and make sure that we know the extent of the impact. And with that, I pass the baton to Mike. And thank you.
And thank you, Cyrus Hoseini, for that look at how data science and information, machine learning, I should say, will affect the future of management system auditing. And that concludes this presentation.